what if I told you that the soju you find, yeah, outside of Korea or even in Korea, this green bottle or sometimes blue, anyways, it's not what real soju is supposed to be like, or yes, it's far away from what actually traditional soju is. Now, did you know that in Korea we also don't have flavored soju? Do you know what's the real reason why soju, whenever you drink it, it always comes chilled in some way or very cold? Do you know what's really in that green bottle of soju? Now, at least here in Korea, anytime you have a shot of soju, you'll hear this beautiful sound. So what surprised me the most is, as you guys might know, within 50 years or so, Korea has gone from being a very underdeveloped country into the technological powerhouse that we have. But that being said, why is it that our soju still sucks? Overall, it's one of the most consumed alcohols worldwide. But why is it so bad? Why is it the way it is? Is that everything about soju? The biggest thing too is that when you come to Korea, is that the only thing you can get or the only thing you can find? So what we're going to talk about in this video is we're going to address all these issues. At the same time, I'm going to tell you why things are the way they are. And well, the biggest catch here is when you come to Korea, I want you to try really good premium soju, or at least know what to expect or what to order, so that you actually enjoy and get a chance to appreciate really good soju. So here you go. Now, after living over 14 years in Korea, yeah, I still don't like that green bottle soju, but it's quite unavoidable. You will find it everywhere. Whenever I have barbecue with friends, yes, it's right there in front of my face. But I'm not gonna be a snob. People drink it. It's part of Korea. But again, I want to give you the opportunity to be aware of all the best sojus or great sojus that you can also enjoy during your stay. Okay? Now, if you love Korean culture, which I hope you do, then reward yourself learning a little bit more about soju. I mean, especially if you're going to come to Korea, you are going to drink it, right? So the soju that is mostly consumed here in Korea as well as overseas is, well, it belongs to a certain category, and that is called the diluted soju or hwiseokshik soju. And yes, that's the soju that everyone drinks. There's no escape from it. Yeah. So some of the sojus that are well known here in Korea, well, you got chamisul, you got chomcheoram, you got jinro, you got, and all these sojus that have 0 calorie. But fun fact, did you know that in Korea, actually, we don't have flavor sojus? Like if you go like overseas, you can go to any convenience store and literally you cannot find it, or it's very hard to find. Okay, now tracing back, if we talk a little bit about the history of soju, it actually was meant to be quite medicinal, and it was also a drink that was firstly consumed mostly by rich people and aristocrats. Later, during some point in the Joseon dynasty, it was more readily available for people, but also at some point a lot of people were drinking too much soju, that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, King Sejong actually kind of put a hold onto, or not a ban, I would say, but kind of a restriction on how much soju or people could drink. So things took a big turn again when Korea was colonized by Japan. So when that happened, a lot of Korean people were forced to get licenses in order to keep home brewing and pay taxes and whatnot. So less and less people were doing that. At the same time, after in the 50s, Korea had its own war, and also different variables actually caused a shortage of grains and rice. So a lot of the soju that was made also naturally or by that point was very hard to do. And at that point, the government was favoring in making the soju much cheaper, not predominantly distilled from rice, but also using different grains and raising the alcohol level very high. And obviously, long story short, that's the soju that we actually have now. So again, it went from being something that was very traditional, um, made at home, into again something that was industrialized for the needs of people at that point, and it just kept going that way, right? So for these types of soju, you will find very low, cheap quality grade rice. But not only that, that's going to be mashed together with different types of, again, sweet potatoes, corn, barley, and for the most part also tapioca. So what happens then after that? They ferment that and then they distill it, and of course they try to raise the alcohol level super high, around 85% or more, and then they dilute it heavily with water, hence the name diluted soju. And of course, once you drink it, it's not going to taste that great. So guess what? They're gonna be putting all these sweeteners and things that are very hard to spell. And of course, it's the sweeteners that will give you a very horrible hangover the next day. So yes, now here's again the soju that we drink in Korea. But have you ever wondered why they give it to you chilled? Well, of course, just like I mentioned right now, pretty much what you're drinking, or I want to say what we're drinking with this soju is watered down ethanol that's been flavored. Okay, so it's going to give you horrible hangovers. But the reason why they give it to you chilled is because they don't want you to feel that cheap ethanol that you're drinking. So it kind of makes it a little bit more tasteable. Is that a word? Tasteable? Tasty. Okay. Now, if you also ever wonder why they give you soju in these just shot glasses, of course, it's because they don't want you to smell the alcohol. So otherwise, if you drink a good whiskey, you use a scotch glass or one of those big wine glasses for nice wines. So smelling your spirit will elevate your senses, for it will elevate your senses and your whole experience. But when it comes to this soju, of course, they don't want you to smell that. So they give it to you in these shot glasses, so you can just go ahead and smash it, smash it, smash it. Okay. Now, the other thing that I still need to try. Now, this is not the official Jinro cup. It's, yeah, I like this cup, but in any case, what happens is if you are sitting, let's say, in a table of 4 people and everyone gets a shot, okay, I think by the third round or so, if you're always pouring evenly, the last person would always get half a shot, okay? And apparently, I don't know if it's a conspiracy, but they would do that on purpose just so you keep ordering more bottles. Of course, you're not going to be a bad friend and leave your friend with half a shot, would you? Again, with soju, of course, the whole marketing thing of learning how to twist it, open it, shake it, mixing it with beer, somek, that's soju and mekju. I personally stay away from somek. I rather drink just soju and then chase with beer, but that's me. Again, all these kind of marketing or fun kind of gimmicks, if that's the right word, yes, kind of pushes the popularity for this drink. But all in all, yes, it's not really meant to be a quality spirit, if anything, too. So, and lastly, now also what's trending now, it's these flavored kind of these flavor kind of bottles where you twist it inside the bottle, so you get all these very flavored kind of sojus, which will be really dangerous at the same time. So that happens to be now a little bit of the trend, at least. So that being said, now here are some of the ingredients that are very hard to read, but they are included in soju. Okay, what is the soju that you should actually be drinking more here if you visit Korea, or at least if you can find it overseas? Now, predominantly soju is based on rice, but that's not always the case. For also older recipes, there are sojus that also have little different types of grains, such as millet, buckwheat, barley. But for the most part, predominantly it would be rice. Okay, the in the term of Chungryushik soju, it will be predominantly distilled using rice or different grains too. And of course, even if you're using different grains, what actually makes it soju is because you are using nuruk, which is the fermentation starter for makgeolli. Now, again, if you don't know what nuruk is the heart and soul of what makes Korean alcohol. So, if you want to explore more about the what nuduk is, then you can follow this other video that we have. Okay. Now, but that being said, just to give you a quick perspective, when it comes to the sojus that are distilled from grains, most of the premium sojus at the moment will be about 25% of alcohol and up. You'll find it at 25%, at 35%, or 40, or including even 50%. When it comes to sojus like that are distilled from grains, they don't use cheap sweeteners. So for the most part, I don't want to say all of them, but for the most part, for more quality sojus, there's a lot of traditional sojus that use different types of ingredients that are either infused or they're used in different ways, or they're distilled in different ways and incorporated together. Okay, so one thing about soju too is that there's going to be times where you try a more premium soju, and sometimes it's going to be more smooth, or sometimes it's going to be more grainy, savory, or earthy. And the reason for that is that soju, there's no fixed rule at the moment that says what kind of distillation system you can use. So you can use things like pot stills, or you can use those pressurized vacuum stills, or you can also use a ceramic clay pot, which is way more traditional. So of course, distilling in all these different devices will give you a different outcome. Okay, now that's why sometimes even if it's premium soju, they'll be a little bit very quite different in taste and aroma. It will be very hard for me to talk about all the different types of soju. However, if you are coming to Korea, I highly recommend that you check out this link below, which will take you to our website, and you can download some of our top 10 recommendations. And above that, it will tell you where to get them. Of course, you can find a lot of these sojus here at our brewery in Baekuseng. Or if buying sojus is something you don't want, but you want to taste them, then of course you can join our Soju Discover Traditional Soju class, which all the information again will be written in that file. Now, the cool thing about exploring the world of soju is that, like I always mention, every different region in Korea will specialize in a certain type of root or fruit or vegetable. You'll find sojus in different regions that are made with different grains, such as, again, sweet potato, buckwheat, wheat, barley, and many, many more. Okay. When it comes also to more of these premium sojus, what happens is once it's distilled, you would keep your soju in Korea in ceramic clay pots to let it mature and condition, and at least for 6 months to a year, which it will help bring the alcohol level down and making your obviously your soju a lot more smooth at the same time. Now, what are some of the soju trends that you see now? Well, a few of these distilleries, including Jinro too, they are making their soju, but they are infusing it or letting it mature in oak barrels like whiskey. So you get this soju that has some of that whiskey type of notes, the oakiness and vanilla type of flavors. And well, it's just something that's been out now for maybe a year or two now, but I see that it might appeal to a broader market. Sometimes when you drink any type of bourbon or whiskey, any type of single malt, it's quite complex. It's very hard. It's very tasty, of course. But when you do this with soju, pretty straightforward. I'm not sure if everyone will like it, but I do see a lot of people coming here for the tastings who actually have enjoyed it. If you have an opportunity to come to Korea, I highly recommend to try more premium soju. You can again download in the link below a free PDF file, which will give you some of my top 10 recommendations and a little bit of information of them. And of course, I'll tell you where to get them too. Lastly, I'd like to know what kind of soju you've had. Okay, so you can again drop a comment in this video and share your experience. And lastly, if you like the content, then please like and subscribe. So, Joe from Begus and Makgeolli, peace out.